Hello, angels. You might wonder where the hell I've been, which would be a fair question. I've been taking part in National Novel Writing Month this month. So, the aim of the game is to have a finished 50,000 word novel by the end of the 30th of November. So, most of my spare time has been spent working away on my word count trying to finish. And I'm really hoping that this is going to be a little challenge that I've set for myself to help me get over one of my own little demons of self sabotage. I have difficulty sticking to longer writing projects. I'm a short story writer, that's what I naturally do. But I've always wanted to complete a novel, and I kind of felt like this would be a very intense challenge for me to face and see if it will get me over that hurdle, that psychological hurdle that tends to convince me that I can't commit to a longer writing project, or I can't sustain my interest in a longer writing project, because I know that's really not the case. I know there's a novelist in me. So hopefully NaNoWriMo will be my little jump over that final psychological hurdle to help me to sustain a longer project. And I will talk to you guys about how I did once it's done and dusted. But I really missed making videos. I really miss making videos. I'm a little bit nervous about the changes, the Google Plus changes, because I saw kind of a whole barrage of videos talking about how it's difficult to reply to comments now and stuff like that. I have seen comments coming up that I need to reply to, questions and stuff like that. So I'm hoping that when I actually get to replying to comments and stuff that I don't have too many issues. But if I do, please bear with me. I'm going to try and figure out what all the new shizzle is as I go. So today, I just wanted to give some words of love and encouragement for the tarot readers amongst you, the perpetual tarot students amongst you. I've just really been paying a lot of attention recently to blogs which are being written by tarot readers and reading different advice from professional readers, and having a look at how different advice in the community can help people that are at one stage on their tarot journey or another, and kind of wanted to put my voice really to the stuff that's already out there and see if I can help some of you to progress or feel more comfortable with where you are now. The first thing I wanted to mention with regard to being a tarot reader is that learning tarot is really a journey towards learning yourself. Knowing the cards is always a journey towards knowing you. There's a synergy there, and one doesn't really work without the other. So you'll notice that as you progress on your journey with tarot, you start learning more about you and your emotional responses, how you've dealt with certain experiences in the history of your life, how you feel about certain concepts, how you feel about certain kinds of people. Because as you learn tarot and you really kind of unravel all of the messages and the symbolism in tarot, you can't help but think about where your focus is placed in regard to that concept or in regard to that personality type, etc. And also, certain cards will really mesh with you, they'll gel with you, you'll get a lot from them. You'll feel that in some sense they represent a part of you that's really important. And other cards you'll struggle with. I've talked in the past about troubleshooting problem cards and coming to understand that quite a lot of the time when you have a card that you find it difficult to understand or you find it difficult to get a handle on, it's normally because that card represents something about you that you find it difficult to get a handle on in your own life. So it's normally a bit of a shadow work process with those cards that don't quite sit well with you. The other really important thing about knowing yourself, that expression, know thyself, when it comes to being a tarot reader, is that it's all about intuition. You know, you can have as perfect a handle on the message for each card as you can. You can read as mammoth, a mammoth load of books. You can really invest yourself in trying to understand how each card is seen by readers, how the cards tie together, and those universal accepted definitions that I've spoken about at length before. But really, when it comes to reading for somebody else, you are picking up on certain energies. You are picking up on that moment, that mood at that time. What does that client need to hear? Or that querent, that friend of yours that you're doing a reading for? What is it that they really need to get from each card? What is it that they really could use? What is useful? Each card has all of these different nuances and all of these different atmospheres and different questions that could be asked in relation to them, etc. So you've got to think with regard to the client's query, with regard to what the client wants to know, which messages are really coming out at you from an intuitive perspective. What do you really want to put forward? And so having a grasp on your intuition is really important, and making sure that you don't doubt yourself. If you lay out a 15 card spread and then you sit there thinking, okay, I originally thought I wanted to say that, but what if I'm wrong? What about if it's more to do with that? And I think those cards tie together like that. That's the first message that I got. But what if I'm wrong? What if I shouldn't say that? What if I should say something else? Self-doubt is going to absolutely kill the magic and the potency and the energy of a reading. It's really about looking at the cards when you turn them over and getting those intuitive spark, quick-fire insights and trusting them, going with them, having that feeling of inner strength within to say, no, I'm the reader and this is what I want to say in service to this client. This is what's coming through. And that's what you say. And so it's really a case of shrugging off self-doubt. And a lot of the time, when you have self-doubt, when you enter into your journey as a tarot reader, you have to take a look at certain aspects of your character, certain aspects of your life, certain experiences that you've gone through, which have led to you being unable to really trust your insights and really put them forward without worrying, without being insecure. So again, learning tarot is really about knowing and learning yourself. The two go together perfectly. And as you strengthen as a reader and you really get that feeling that your confidence is coming up and that you feel like you are in tune with your messages to the point where you can put them across and not be scared that they're not right. They are right if they're coming from here. You know, you're the reader, and your connection with the card and that connection with the client creates that perfect magic recipe. It is the moment, and you need to be present for it. And that means putting your insights forward without second guessing yourself, without never loosening your grip on the reins, always worrying about, will this be accepted? Is this what's right? Is this what the client wants to hear? Those things are always going to make you fall down. So as you progress in your journey towards trying to be a really confident reader, you are really progressing in your journey towards trying to instill confidence into yourself in general and understanding why you may have difficulties with self-doubt or insecurity. And that again might involve shadow work, might involve release work. But as you tune in with the cards, you're also tuning in with you. The other thing I would say is always consider yourself to be a student. That's something that's really helped me. A lot of people want to become tarot experts. They pick up the deck and they begin learning, and over a certain amount of time they can really see themselves at some point in the future with this myriad of information, being like a massive oracle of insight and information, knowing everything that they need to know. And really, there is no point in time at which that's going to happen. There are people who have been reading tarot for 50 years who still feel that they haven't learned everything that they need to know. And there'll still be certain card combinations which will surprise them or throw them off. And there'll still be certain cards that they feel they could go deeper with their understanding of. They still might even be path working and doing meditations with tarot to try and really get themselves to that next plateau of understanding. So for me, I would say that I'd always consider myself and refer to myself as a tarot student, and I think that's really helped me because it's made me realise that the pressure is kind of off. I'm going to be learning this thing until I'm in the ground. So that gives me this massive scope for exploration and this scope for a kind of innocence and naivety that I can embrace even after a good 15 years of learning. I can embrace that and love that. I love that feeling of not knowing enough. Carl Jung once said that he could take everything that he knew and he could place it on a human fingernail, a little human fingernail, and still have room for a little bit more. And for a guy as learned and as cool and as wise and as sage-like as that, it really makes me feel like, yes, everything I know about this subject, particularly tarot, I could fit on my little fingernail and there'd still be loads of room for more. So, that frees me up and that makes me feel excited about the journey, and it takes that pressure off and it stops you from berating yourself. You're never going to be a tarot expert. That's not where you want to get to. That's not the ultimate aim. The ultimate aim is to keep learning and to be a perpetual student and to keep taking everything that you can. Teresa Reed, the tarot lady, said once, stay thirsty. Always stay thirsty. And I love that. I think that's great advice. So I would posit that advice to you. One thing that I do with my tarot readings is I make sure that I always give questions and focus areas in the reading. So if I'm giving a full-length reading, which will be 200 words minimum, 2,000 words minimum, beg your pardon, that'd be a bit short, wouldn't it, 200 words. Yeah, 2,000 words minimum. I'll always break up the reading at a couple of points to place in some questions and focus areas. And what this does is it gives the client scope for exploration beyond the body of the reading. It gives them a chance to reap the longer term benefits by giving them things to go away and think about. I really believe that questions can give us just as much nourishment and nurturing as answers in a lot of cases. So, a client should get a reading from me and should potentially have some aha moments and some moments of feeling that, yes, I feel empowered at this point. When I read this, I see how it relates to my life. But I also want them to have a certain number of questions and focus areas that they maybe haven't thought about, or that might be potentially a little bit difficult or challenging for them. And then they can go away and work on that in their own time. And as their life kind of unfolds and plays out, they will find the answers within themselves and within their human experience. So, for example, try and find at least one question that the querent could be asked, or the client could be asked, for every card. Like, for example, the Five of Swords. I would say that one question that the Five of Swords could give for a client would be, how do you feel that you deal with combative situations with others? And are there any points at which you feel you should be more forthcoming and more confident? Maybe ask the client to explore how they act when they stand in the seat of their power during an argument or during a challenge. The Three of Cups, one of the questions the Three of Cups could bring about would be, how do you choose your friends? How do you choose your human connections? And what do you expect from friendships and human connections going forward? Or what have you learned, for example, about your strong and potent friendships in the past? And looking at what you've learned, what would you change going into the future? There are 100, 1,000 questions per card. And sometimes when I've given the advice that I feel the card is intuitively linking to me for that client, I will also consider one question that I feel is relevant in the context of the question that they've come to me with, and I will give that question or focus area to them, and then they can take it away with them. When you're a tarot student of at any stage on your journey, I think it's really useful to get your tarot journal out, go through the deck, and consider at least one question that each card could potentially be asking you or be asking a client. For example, let's say if every single card was a therapist or a counsellor, what would they ask you if you were sat there in front of them? What would be that question that they would ask you to try and help you to get in touch with yourself and your deeper feelings about something? That can be interesting. The other thing to remember when you're learning tarot is that it's all about context, and that's something that you'll come back to again and again throughout the entirety of your tarot study. It's all about context. For example, say if I pick out the Empress and the position in the reading is the best or most potent qualities of the client. So with the Empress, I might say something like they're loyal, protective, potentially maternal. I might say that they are creative. I might say that they are good at externalizing what's internal. If this was to come up in a different position, say, what does the client have trouble getting in touch with themselves, or what are the weaknesses, what are the flaws that they feel they're really challenged with at the moment, then the Empress takes on a different context, right? So you could be thinking about potentially the client's need to come forth and be creative and build something in the world and feel that they have the right to do that. You might focus on potentially the client's inability to see joy and to enjoy celebration and to be light-hearted, to see the beautiful things in life. Again, it's dependent upon context and dependent upon your intuitive insight, but with regard to which position the card is placed in, the context will change, and this is not something that you need to feel daunted about. Once you get a handle on what each universal message really is in each card, then all you need to do when that card shows up in any position is to think about what that universal energy that that card gives out tells you about that particular position or that particular question. If the position is future oriented, think about how it relates to the future. If it's to do with strengths and core attributes, think about how it relates to those things. So, context does change the meaning of the card. Do readings. This is something that I've been wanting to get out there for a while, because I don't think it's something that I've said so far in any of my tarot tips or techniques videos. Don't be shy. Just give it a try, ride that gravy train with biscuit wheels. You have to be doing readings. So there has to come a point in time at which you are going to be bold enough to actually break out your deck and give some people some readings. And sometimes that involves like toughening up a little bit and understanding that some readings will go better than others will. And sometimes you'll feel really energized and like there really is a big core connection there. And other times you might feel stuck, or you might feel a little bit sidetracked, or there might be something that doesn't quite add up and you have to kind of talk your way through it. And maintaining the correct pace and trying to pick up on something that's useful for the client but that also resonates with you. I say client most often because I run an Etsy shop, but I mean querent or subject. Some people don't like the word querent, so I try and change it up a little bit. But you know, get people in front of you, do it. Offer readings to your friends. Just say, I've been learning and I'm a little bit more comfortable now. Can I give you a quick 3-card reading? And if people ask, say yes. This is something that I still have trouble with now. If people ask me in my life, if friends ask me, etc., I shouldn't put it off. I should have my tarot deck on me all the time. And I should do it. I should go into it more, I think, so that I'm constantly challenging myself and constantly mixing things up. So yeah, do readings, don't be shy, keep playing with your deck, keep kind of offering when you feel that you have the energy to do so, and enjoy looking at what's gone on while you've given this offering. Enjoy checking up on the progress, thinking about what worked and maybe what didn't work so well. Look at the world and see tarot in it. This is something that I've said time and time again, and I'll continue to say it. You need to put those tarot spectacles on and look at people, look at situations, look at conversations that unfold, look at places in the world or certain ideologies, certain concepts, and decide which card fits the bill for those things. And you'll see that tarot is really just a description of everything which is the case. And that's something that's really exciting about learning tarot, and it's something that I still feel is incredibly beneficial for me now and inspiring for me now. Don't fear the minor arcana. This is a big thing at the moment. If you go over onto my Four Queens Facebook page, you'll notice that I've just started doing 1 card, 1 word posts for the minor arcana. We're on to the minors now. So if you do have problems thinking about keywords or thinking about concepts for each minor arcana card, go over there and have a look. I'm going to post 1 or 2 per day, and they're all kept in a folder called 1 card, 1 word in my photo albums on Facebook. So check that out and see if you can get any help from that. A lot of people that follow me on Facebook post their 1 word underneath in the comments section, and sometimes we get a little thread going so that everybody can come forward and say what word they think best describes the card, and that's really illuminating. I learn a hell of a lot from my Facebook followers, and some of them come up with words that I really never thought of before, and it's really interesting. It really helps to deepen my understanding of each card. But you know, don't fear the minors. There is a system. If you haven't looked through my trainee tarot course yet, please check out the one about the minor arcana, the elements and the numbers in the minor arcana, and you will recognise that there is a system, and it is a cohesive, all-encompassing system, and it will help you to understand that they are not just a bunch of completely unrelated cards with absolutely, you know, nothing that unites them or bonds them or compares them to each other. It is a holistic system, and I really feel that, you know, if you don't get on with my style of teaching, there are many other places where you can read about or watch videos about the minor arcana and how it all links together and how it links to the majors. And don't sweat the majors as well. A lot of people are quite intimidated by those 22 initial cards, but remember, you can find something that's happened to you or that you've felt or that's happened to someone else in your life and connect it back to every major arcana card. I'm telling you that now. If you're old enough to watch this video and understand what I'm saying, you're old enough to find slices of life that compare or connect with every card in the major arcana. You are a well of wisdom and understanding, and you understand already what the world means, what justice means, what judgment means, all of those cards. You have that within. So sometimes it's just about casting the books aside for a little while and simply connecting on an emotional level with each major arcana card. Give it your time, path work with it, meditate with it, find out which insights come forward most clearly, make a personal bond with each card, and that'll help you to understand that the major arcana is just a reflection of who you are as a person. It's just a picture book of your human experience, as I like to say. So yeah, don't sweat the major arcana, don't do that. When you give readings, be in service with love. It's about the person getting the reading. It's about you completely surrendering and committing. So you're surrendering everything you were thinking about a second before you started, and you're committing to being that clear channel, being that loving source of words to illuminate, to inspire, to encourage, and to challenge as well. Don't be afraid to challenge the person's perception of what's going on, and to help them to see things in a new way, to help them to get outside of the box and collapse it with a sharp knife and look at things from a fresh perspective, because that can be very helpful too. But you know, before I go into any kind of reading, whether it's for a friend, whether it's for a client on Etsy, whatever it is, I always breathe in and breathe out and think I am being in service with love. That is my intention, and that's what I embody. And that's what it's really important to always remember that you're doing. You are providing a very beautiful space. You are holding a space for somebody else to really consider, to really go deeper, to really delve in, to dive in. And sometimes what they're trying to process might be complex, it might be painful for them. So be in service and be with love. Show up as a clear channel. Show up for that person, be present for them, and prove that you can hold space for that person, a safe space in which they can really understand this is a ritual for their personal development. It's something that can really push them beyond, and it's something that you are giving. So that's a very beautiful thing about being a tarot reader. That's what I like best. And finally, I just wanted to say, record your progress. If you don't already, you will find it helpful, I think. This is my current tarot journal with my little kind of world chick on the front, because I felt I was in a world mood that day. This is my current one, and I'll just show you a few pages. And I honestly, it really does help you. Bloody hell, that's a bit word heavy. It really does help you to see what your deeper insights are with each card. And record that progress and see kind of where you were last time and where you are now. Really explore and really keep something that you can look back on. There are many insights that you have in a flash moment, and you'll write them down in your journal, and then you kind of will lose sight of them as other things come into perspective. And then you go back and read through the journal and think, that was a great insight I had about that card a few months ago. That's fantastic. A lot of readings that I've been doing lately, that's kind of come to the fore, so I need to remember that. That needs to stick in my brain. There's a lot of stuff you'll write down, particularly if you try automatic writing with your journal. There's loads of stuff that you will write down that you will then forget. And if you have a record of your progress, you can see, you know, what was kind of in perspective at that time and what maybe needs to be brought back into perspective for you. Okay, so I'm going back on with my National Novel Writing Month word count now, guys, but I just wanted to do a little video with some helpful tips and just chat to you for a little while. The shop will continue to be closed until National Novel Writing Month is over, but when it reopens, I'm going to have your readings and stuff like that. My New Year's resolution reading will probably be coming again, because I really like that, and I'll probably offer some very cheap and cheerful oracle card readings as well. I like to do that around Yule time. Also, I do offer lessons and mentoring and things like that, so if you enjoyed this video and you would like to work with me on a one-on-one basis, then check out the shop when it reopens in December. There might be something there that can help you to really progress and push forward as you wish to do. Much love, beautiful people. Blessed be.